afternoon. Welcome to Channel 44. We are here with business news. We'll be bringing you live business stories internationally and locally here on Channel 44 every day at 4 p.m. Please make it a point to stay tuned to Channel 44 for the latest in business. We'll be bringing you fuel prices, we'll be bringing you stock markets, foreign exchange rates, and many others that you need to know in the world of business. I am Masi Gashegu Sembatia to bring you today's business news, and I am joined by Livingstone Kawesi for sign language interpretation and translation. We'll start with what's happening internationally. FTX's United States-based bankruptcy team have agreed to coordinate with liquidators winding down the crypto exchange operations in the Bahamas, resolving a dispute that threatened the recovery of what could be billions of dollars in lost funds. In a joint statement on Friday, the two sides said they will work to share information, secure property, and coordinate a litigation against third parties. FTX's U.S. bankruptcy team has been at odds with Bahamian officials since November, when competing bankruptcies were filed in two countries. The Securities Commission of the Bahamas began liquidation proceedings on November the 10th against FTX Digital Markets Limited, according to the company's Bahamas-based unit. The next day, a U.S. Chapter 11 proceeding was filed in Delaware, which included more than 100 FTX entities, including FTX Trading and Crypto Hedge Fund, Alameda Research. Chapter 11 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code is a bankruptcy generally filed by corporations and involves reorganization of assets and debt. Bahamian regulators have seized FTX assets, which officials said was a means to safeguard assets that will ultimately be returned to creditors of FTX Digital Markets. And in another story, an International Monetary Fund delegation will meet Pakistan's finance minister on the sidelines of a conference in Geneva as Pakistan struggles to restart its bailout program. The IMF is yet to approve the release of $1.1 billion originally due to be disbursed in November last year, leaving Pakistan with only enough foreign exchange reserves to cover 1 month's imports. The IMF delegation is expected to meet with Finance Minister Ishaq Dar on the sidelines of the Geneva conference to discuss the outstanding issues and the path forward, according to an IMF spokesperson. Local media outlet Dawn cited an IMF spokesperson as saying that the institution's managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, had a constructive call with Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Friday. The conference in Geneva, hosted by Sharif and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, will look to gather international support for the country in the aftermath of devastating floods last year. The floods killed at least 1,700 people and caused billions of dollars of damage to critical infrastructure. Right now, we'll take a very short break and look at today's foreign exchange rates, see how the dollar is performing against very many all major world currencies in our segment of foreign exchange. Well, having seen that, I guess you can pass by any Forex bureau and see how you can translate or exchange your money into whatever currency is desired. As you can see, the dollar is still dominating, but we expect things to get better by mid this year, according to financial analysis. Moving on, we are still looking at international news. The billionaire founder of Ant Group, Jack Ma, is to give up control of Chinese fintech giant after a regulatory crackdown. Ant Group said that after the change, no one would have overall control. The formerly flamboyant Mr. Ma has seldom been seen in public since criticizing China's financial sector in 2020. Following that criticism, Ant Group's planned stock market flotation was abruptly halted. Ant Group runs Alipay, the main online payment system in China, which has eclipsed cash, checks, and credit cards. Mr. Ma, a former English teacher who founded e-commerce giant Alibaba, directly and indirectly controls more than 50% of Ant Group. However, after the changes in the governance structure, he will control just over 6%, according to an Ant Group statement. In November 2020, Ant's $26 billion stock market in flotation, which would have been the world's largest, was cancelled at the last minute. At the 11th hour, Chinese authorities cited major issues over regulating the firm. And in the United States, McDonald's is planning to cut some of its corporate staff, according to CEO Chris Kempczynski in a memo that he sent to employees last week. He said they will evaluate roles and staffing levels in parts of the organization, and there will be difficult discussions and decisions ahead. He said certain initiatives will be deprioritized and stopped altogether. He said this would help them move faster as an organization while reducing the global costs and freeing up resources to invest in their growth. McDonald's has been a star in the pandemic, and people ordered more takeout from the company during early days of COVID, and sales surged over the next year as inflation sent restaurant goers looking for cheaper options. The company said it is not resting on its laurels, according to the CEO, outlining a plan to break down internal barriers, grow more innovative, and reduce work that doesn't align with company's priorities. McDonald's also plans to accelerate the pace of its restaurant openings to respond to increased demand. The company said it sees an opportunity for further growth in many of its major markets. Well, we'll now take a very short break, look at today's fuel prices, look at Total, Shell, Starbucks, and others, how petrol and diesel prices are happening around the city. Stay tuned.